There we go. Hi. All right, everything seems to be rolling. Check it in. Could it be? Possibly. There I am. Oh my gosh, and I only look slightly exhausted. Good Lord. My sleep schedule is a little off, kids. It's a little wonky. I'm not gonna lie. It's bad. It's rough. I went to bed at 4 a.m. last night, and I had to get up to do Steph's radio show at 6:30 so that I could be presentable by 7. You know, because you can't just jump right out of bed and do radio and be all spry. You got to be up for a little while. So I got up and did that, and then I had to finish on a couple of sketches that I have going. I can't show you guys, because it would affect ticket sales, and it's kind of, would dishonor my fellow castmates if I showed you any of the stuff I've been working on. And it's hard not to, because I got plenty of, sexy liberal sketches. I posted some of them already that, from before. But I feel like, let me just give you a teaser of one of the pieces, just to give you this is what I've been doing the last couple days. Is it playing? Yeah. Florida man used a salami. I'm not telling anything else. You're not allowed to hear any more of that. And then, of course, I'm a full-on documentary. Only people in the regular chat will get every joke in this as much as everybody else. Hey.
Hello, everyone. As you know, we've been filming a new documentary with Dr. Frank, and welcome. I mean, what you showed me before, I want everybody to see in this hour. I want to say how we met. It was like a divine appointment here.
The woman, she said she was single.
Goes,
all right, so anyway, you get the idea. There's going to be a lot of stuff in this one. Hello, everybody in the chat room, and welcome to the show. And everybody, and so sexyliberal.com/tour. Tickets are available still because it's digital. They're never sold out. Thanks, Sasha. Well, I've done over the course of doing the Sexy Liberal shows, considering I end up shooting these things by myself, with nothing, just friggin' nothing. It gets a little exhausting, I have to admit, when I'm trying to put these things together, like I wish I had castmates that I could meet with in person and go, here's your lines, but I have to play everything myself, and so it's sort of brutal, but it's worth it. It's really fun. Thank you, Julie. So hopefully you guys, those of you that are gonna watch this, they see yesterday, I thought you maybe Q hauled you off, to the Philippines. I've been asked to relocate there. Yay, Slay got his or her vaccine today. I don't know why I assumed you were her for a second. Jay. Yay, Richard Custer, yay. Billy Hutchings, yay. Hope you're well. Yeah, there's no promo code on this one. I should put a promo code on it. I'll put it on after the fact. I can still send an edited version in. So, needless to say, when you're when I'm shooting all that stuff and then I'm compositing myself in everything, it's a lot of work. It's, to do by yourself. I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy it. It's, I love editing. I love somebody saying volume. I'll turn mine up a little bit. Hopefully that helps. I love the editing process. I love doing After Effects. I love compositing. I love doing special effects stuff. Because a lot of this stuff is topical, I don't have the time to get the lead in I would need for the next level special effects that I want, That's the difficult part. I need to start doing bits based on my stand-up that are, more long game oriented pieces so that I can keep working on them, Yeah, I'm definitely a one-man show. Summer's here. She's doing stuff. She's wandering around. Her mom's coming to visit us. I'm also going to be part of the Film Threat show, the award show on Saturday in LA. I have to drive in for it, and they're doing I'm anchoring the show on the same night we're doing Sexy Liberal, so I'm going to be doing digitally via Skype my, my meet and greet room, or by Run the World, my meet and greet room. I'll do that digitally from there, and then go straight over to do another show. It's crazy. It's crazy pants. It's just crazy pants. So, but it'll be a party, and it'll be a good time, and we'll be all right. I just have to finish the radio show on Saturday and drive straight to Los Angeles. So, good times. It's going to be crazy. Anyways, and no vaccine for you. Why not? I got the Pfizer. It was a little jab in the shoulder and totally fine. There you go. And where was I yesterday? I was editing. I was doing bits. Yeah, I was working on stuff for the Sexy Liberal show. So apologies for folks that didn't get the message. I tweeted it out. Any day that, if you follow me on Twitter at Hal Sparks, if I'm ever not going to do a stream, that's where I post that I'm not going. And then I ask people to lovingly spread the word. Okay, so that said, I still have stuff I'm working on. I have one more sketch to do because of breaking news after my stream today. So it's going to take me about 3 hours to put that together after that. And hopefully I can edit that piece and send it off tonight before midnight. And then they can pop it into the show. So that's it. Quarantined at a hotel for okay, it's like a staycation, vaccine staycation. That's awesome. The chat room is just on fire today. You guys it's really nice seeing you guys. I miss you after a day of not being here. It's weird that I feel like I feel slightly guilty when I can't do a stream, which is very odd. You guys understand. You're not weird. I'm weird about it. And at the same time, I'm kind of like, oh, my friends. I went over to say hi to them. So it's nice to see you guys today. So here we go. Let's jump right in so I can, because there's something beautiful happened. There's a couple of things. I'm going to start backwards. I'll start backwards. First of all, our new buddy, Newsmax Stankfield at Newsmax, got Don Jr. on the show, I think. Is he in the... Yeah, he's actually on camera, unlike his dad. He actually, and he's even got a fake background and everything. They're like really doing a show. I mean, it's all, grievance-oriented, and he's the executive vice president of the Trump organization. Now, that's his job. So Stankfield got Don Jr. I don't know if we'll have time for that, because at the same time, Mark Levin's got a short take. But the fun part is, and this Geraldo thing is kind of glorious. It's hard not to cover that one. And then I don't know why. Well, I'll tell you what my problem is with this Mark Levin bit. I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to get out over my skis. But first, Trump called in to Newsmax, and I didn't even know that. Like, it was so low rung bullshit waste of time that, frankly, thanks for the bits, yay. Honestly, I didn't hear about it till the next day. Like, I'm fairly on top of this stuff, right? And I mean, it's nice. Quite frankly, like, I don't retweet his statements. I did like the first one that came up, and I was like making a joke about it. And I was like, nah, screw this. I'm not gonna carry his water for him. Hype train, level 4 hype train on Twitch right now. All right, that's very exciting. Twitch.tv/HalSparks. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime, and it won't cost you a dime. Give us a thumbs up and a like, and also super chats, and Venmo always works. It's over there. I can point. I know which direction it is. I know it's been there the whole time, and I know. See, I'm doing a commercial right out of the top. I did it right. I'm trying to be a real pro streamer now. Now that I've got my promos out of the way, now I just got to turn on my camera and sit here and not talk for hours and hours and hours while people inexplicably give me money. Because that's how the rest of Twitch works. I'm being far too entertaining for what happens there. Okay, here we go. Trump called into Newsmax on, dude, they don't even, what's her name? What, look, this is their channel. Former President Donald Trump joins Newsmax TV, which, I mean, he calls in. He's not a member now or something. Endorsement more via Newsmax TV. But yeah, they don't even list her name. I've seen her in some of the promos. I think we had one other clip. I don't know her name. What? And look at this. What's this Newsmax exclusive? Are they at least going to give her a little graphic? Like if this was Salcido or Stankfield or Greg Kelly, they'd be logoed the hell out. I know you're thinking what I'm thinking. Newsmax, sexist against their female anchors? Shocked, I tell you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. President. We appreciate your time.
Well, we appreciate your time. What else was he going to be doing? I'm confused. What part of? Hold on one second. I don't know why my Stream Deck is being oh, there it is. This is good. Okay.
Well, thank you, Heather.
I know.
Oh, her name is Heather, by the way. They put it on a Post-it note on his phone.
That you're very busy. Let's
No, he isn't. No, he isn't. Fake news right out of the gate. He's not busy. He's not busy at all.
tackle that first topic that we were just discussing, the MLB moving the All-Star game.
Oh, Major League Baseball. Finally, let's get him an expert, because didn't he try to buy a football team, or was that like he knows sports? He was the best baseball player in his prep school.
To Denver.
That apparently, according to no one.
Colorado, you've already had a lot to say about it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But please, bloviate some more.
What's your opinion?
Well, they had a very strong bill, and I guess the governor rejected it because it was too strong, and then they went with a watered-down bill.
He means the Georgia voter bill.
If you look at, the history.
And by the way, watered down is because they took out the provision where you couldn't supply water and replaced it with you can have a bucket of water near the door. Watered down. Seriously, how can you be sitting on the phone and stepping on rakes?
History of it, they went with a very strongly watered down bill. They don't have various elements that you'd like to have, but
you mean the part where you can't hand out water?
That's why they call it watered down.
Sorry, my mistake. I thought that was about the amphibious bunnies
In Georgia, and
that's the phrase they only use in Georgia. What?
And now they've moved the All-Star game because they thought the bill was too tough when it's not. They're woke, and
they're woke. Yeah, Major League Baseball, totally woke. They're woke. Use woke. Is that on the Post-it too, right next to her name? Say woke and watered down. Voter ID for absentee ballots. Expands in-person early voting. Secures ballot drop boxes. Ends portable poll sites. Yeah, that's not the part they had a problem with.
Woke is not good for our country. Woke is not good.
No, woke not good. Woke bad. Woke mean everyone sleep.
And,
ironic title.
And I hope a lot of people. I think people are giving up on baseball anyway. You look at the fans.
Yeah, nobody likes baseball. Pfft, what kind of?
Way down. Everything's way down. I don't think anybody.
Yeah, nobody watches. Nobody's even going to baseball games.
cares, but
nobody cares. But let's talk about it anyways. What else are we going to talk about? Apple pie, the American flag. Nobody's into that shit anymore.
They shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be hurting the people of Georgia.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be doing.
They're not hurting the people of Georgia. They're helping the people of Colorado.
Doing that, especially for a bill that is less stringent than the one.
The phrase is watered down.
They have where they're moving the All-Star game to.
Right, less stringent because they still obviously have the voter ID in Denver as they do in Georgia, but there's
in Denver. Denver's a city. Also, they have universal mail-in voting. They have that because that's how you register. Everybody does mail-in voting. That's just how you all right.
Less available days to vote there, and then also some other issues. So
that's because almost no one votes in person.
Obviously, that wasn't the real issue when it came.
No, that wasn't the real issue. It was a black thing, probably. The word woke sounds black to me, ma'am.
To the Georgia law and all of these companies that jumped in, the media reaction. So what do you think is really behind?
Yeah, what's really going on this? Please say Jews. Please say Jews.
And all the wokeness with these corporations.
Yeah, what's the wokey woke?
Jumping on the bandwagon.
Well, Georgia's got a lot of difficulties. I mean, you look at in this new law, I don't believe they have signature matching. Now, why wouldn't they have signature matching? A lot of the real power, a lot of the guts have been taken out of it.
They already have a process for matching signatures. It's just goofy. Thank you for the Venmo. Somebody just made my phone jiggle, and I thought it was because the battery was dying. It was actually because you Venmo'd me. Thank you so much. I don't have my watch on, so I couldn't. It usually buzzes me.
But they had something that was very powerful, meaning fair and free and good.
That's what powerful means. Fair and free and good
for the people. But it was strong. You have to be a citizen. You have to be all of the things that you have to be. And
wait. Hold on. According to this new bill, you have to be a citizen to vote in Georgia. When did that shit start? All right, we need to move all sports out of there. This is what kind of authoritarian...
And signature ID, et cetera, but they didn't have signature matching, as I understand it. That's not...
Well, you misunderstand it.
Good, and it's very watered down from the original one.
What about...
Because you can't give out water. I swear to God, his teeny tiny little circus peanut brain is literally just latched onto the water thing.
All of these companies, though, that are being woke now. You have Coca-Cola.
Do you have a woke quota? Do they have to? Did these assholes get paid by the woke?
You have Delta, United Airlines, I think last night.
Yeah, they're so friggin' woke.
Issued a statement. American.
He just woke up. Like that's how.
American Airlines has already jumped on board and issued a statement because the state of Texas is talking about, some of these.
Jesus, next thing you know, all the airplanes are gonna have blue hair and wearing BLM shirts.
Voter and election integrity.
I hear Frontier Airlines is scrubbing all the animals off their tail fin and just putting non-binary Antifa
laws that they want to strengthen.
Hi, I'm your airplane. My pronouns are, oh my God, welcome to Woke Airlines.
Oh, let them try boycotting Texas. Texas will teach them a lesson.
Let them try boycotting Texas. Texas will teach them a lesson. If you come down here, we're going to shoot you. Well, we're not going to come down there. That's the whole fucking point of a boycott. If you guys don't come down here and patronize our businesses, we're going to... Well, you won't be here for... I guess we'll just shoot ourselves? I don't know.
That I can tell you. Let them...
Yeah, thanks for telling us. That you can,
Try it. Look, it's crazy what's going on.
Honest to God. How do you not know how a boycott works? Watch them. If they try not to go to Texas, what is Texas gonna? What are they gonna do? Said slave patrols to pick up liberals and bring them down there and make them eat ribs. Texas will show them. Oh my God, that's. That's beautifully dumb. Right off the bat.
It shouldn't be happening.
No.
Frankly, these companies should stay out of it because they all they do is aggravate people and
That's right. That's all they do is aggravate people, losing bags and canceling flights and stuff. What do they know about voting?
People are not happy with it. And
no, they're not.
The people you're talking about, some of them live in foreign countries. They run these big multinational companies. And they're...
Yeah, like American. Yeah, American Airlines. It's run out of the UAE, apparently.
Making calls from London and other places. And
London? Oh, my God. Those commies? London? Yeah. Cup o' tea, fish and chips, London.
I don't even know what's happening. No, I think it's a...
Yeah, nobody in London knows what the fuck is going on in America. Yeah, we don't need to hear from those assholes. We fought a war with them so we wouldn't have to deal with any monarchy. I know, London. He went to London, not Macedonia. All right. London. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for coming by, Michelle.
A disgrace. And frankly, if Republican conservatives ever got their act together, which they should, if we had some real leadership instead of Mitch McConnell and the group, if we had
some real leadership like yours, didn't you lose them the House and the Senate both?
Some real leadership.
Real leadership.
You'd be doing is something much different. They'd be boycotting these companies, and those companies would be coming. That's what the liberals do. They boycott anybody that speaks out. They boycott them. They cancel them, and they boycott them. We have more people than they do.
So you're basically arguing for a bigger cancel culture, a bigger boycott. I see.
What should happen is the Republicans and let's say Republican conservatives, Republicans, you could call it whatever you want.
Call COVID. You call them Kung Flu. That's what I call the GOP. They have so many names. Why is everything Satan? Oh, I have so many names.
Right. If they would boycott these companies that are so above it all, you'd.
Trump slams woke corporate culture. I want you to wrap your. I mean, it's the whole like Mitch McConnell attacking corporations is pretty hysterical. It's really ridiculous. But for Christ's sake, can you imagine? Can you imagine 5 years ago seeing this sentence? Just that phrase slams woke corporate culture. That's friggin' amazing.
You'd find that they would come back into the fold very quickly. But
Yeah, that's right. Stop drinking Diet Coke. Well, I mean, or at least hide it on your desk when you're drinking it when there's supposed to be a boycott going on.
Now, the liberals, the radical left plays the Democrats, they play a much tougher game.
Yeah, we're tough. That's the thing. Thank you, Natalie. Oh, yes, Sexy Liberal Tour Weekend is always my most exhausted week, I have to say. I almost can't enjoy the show sometimes because I'm, like, dragging ass just to get to the show. Like, just the wheels falling off. I feel, metaphorically, like that marathon runner who, nobody thought he would make it, and he's like dying, and he shits himself in the last 10 feet before but he crossed the finish line.
Yeah. So should we boycott baseball?
Yeah. Boycott baseball, apple pie, 4th of July, hot dogs. Fuck that. Let's see. Jesus. Listen to this. This is, guys, come on. This is fucking Newsmax. And should we boycott baseball? Republican Party, what happened to you? What happened? I mean, honestly. Did somebody, I swear to God, someone in the Kremlin has to have just lost a bet. Dude, I never thought you would get them to boycott baseball. You're the fucking man.
Well, I have, look, I'm just not very interested in baseball for the last number of years, I think.
Yeah, for a while now.
It's not appropriate. You look,
it's inappropriate. That's the problem, whatever, all that scratching and spitting.
You want to find a game, it's on every channel, and yet you can't find anything.
Yeah.
Please. This is amazing. This is really just... It's on every channel. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Grandpa. How does this even work? Give me the remote, Grandpa. I got it.
The weirdest thing.
It's so weird.
It's a nice, easy thing to follow. And you know what I mean by that. It was on one network, and it was nice and good and beautiful.
It was easy to follow because it was only TV. It used to be only 3 channels. You used to just click, and there was baseball, and you could follow it. And then all these brown people started showing up, and then there was steroids. couldn't keep track of shit. Now there's like 15 buttons. I push the home button on it. Why does it have a home button? I'm at home. I'm good. This is killing me. Oh.
Today, you don't even know what the hell you're watching. So.
Oh, shit.
I would say boycott baseball. Why not?
Yeah, look at that. They don't even throw right anymore. Like, dude broke his arm.
I think what they did was a terrible thing. I think it's a very unfair thing. And
Well, you know, ask Lauren Boebert. It moved into her
they
district.
didn't even know the bill. And in fact, I think they were aware of the bill as it was going along. Everybody was okay with it. Then as soon as Stacey Abrams speaks up, they end up folding. Mm-hmm. And it should be the opposite. We have more people
Yeah, Stacey should end up folding.
than they do.
Well, you know,
We have more people than they do. They just didn't show up at the voting booths.
why is
We
it
don't
that
use the power of the people. You know, the people should boycott those companies.
Yeah, please, yes. All the anti-vax maggots, please boycott all the good companies so the rest of us don't have to listen to your bullshit or sit next to you with your unvaccinated ass and you're like, I don't need a mask. Yeah, just don't go to all, like, please. Who do I provide a list of my favorite restaurants and stuff? Can you take my Yelp list and give it, like, call the CEOs on it and make them support the Georgia bill just so that these assholes won't stank the place up?
That are all of a sudden so righteous. Mm-hmm. And you would find that they would come right, they would be right back because the bill it's a weak bill. Mm-hmm. It's a weak bill. They do have voter ID, which is a great thing. You should have. But even that's probably a little bit on the watered down side from what I hear. But we don't have.
Yeah, I mean, you can have it just a hand drawing of your picture. You know, it's not, you don't need the photo doesn't have to be recent. It can be you can get it from 23andMe. Any of your ancestors will do.
Signature matching, which is a big deal.
just one of the many.
Why'd you edit it out? What? It wasn't live? Wait, did they get to give a cut of it?
Crises that are going on right now is the border situation.
Yep.
I did want to get your comments on that because there's reports out today that the Biden administration is now going to follow through once they pulled the plug, but now they're talking about going back and constructing the wall in the parts that were not yet complete. One of the many things that they reversed.
It's almost like he is finishing his review period. And the parts that were incomplete are parts that were repair points. Most of the wall that Trump built, but for 25 miles of it, was place where we already had barrier. We already had either a wall or a giant fence. And he just replaced it. It was just a repair job, essentially. And there were sections of it where they didn't finish.
Reversed immediately without going down there to the border and determining what could or could not be done. What do you think that the Biden administration needs to do to fix it right now? Yeah,
tell us. Let's do it. There's children. We just saw the video of that like 10-year-old boy alone in the desert. He was with a group and he got separated and they just found him on a road in the desert. What should be done with him? I mean, is Stephen Miller sitting right next to you? Can you ask?
Well, I think it's great that they reversed themselves, but a lot of damage was done because we were going to have that wall almost complete. It delayed 2.5 years because of lawsuits. The Democrats sued us in Congress, many, many suits, and we won all of the
Well, Mexico was supposed to pay for it.
Suits, and we started building.
No, they didn't. They ran into all kinds of legal issues.
And we were almost finished, and then
they were not almost finished. Remember the border was supposed to be the entire southern border, everywhere, and then it's like 500 miles is all we need.
They called it into it, and it's, just incredible. Mm-hmm. But if they agree that they're going to complete it, it's very little to complete. If they agree that they're going to complete it, that's a great thing. That's a very positive step.
I want to ask you about the...
What did that edit? Look at that. Again. Hold the phone. They are cutting pieces out of this interview. Hold on. Watch this.
That's a great thing.
What? You can tell by the ticker down at the bottom.
That's a very positive step.
I want to ask...
See that? I mean, she shifts a little, too.
They're going to complete it.
Look.
That's a great thing. That's a very positive step.
I want to ask you...
What is happening?
About the Biden administration and foreign policy. A lot of folks questioning his health and issues that he's had. We didn't have the press conference until 64 days in, and then I mean, you don't have to. And then Putin. We had China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia, who have all challenged him from day one. When it comes to foreign policy and what the Biden administration is doing, specifically North Korea, not even taking their phone call. Obviously, you had a relationship with Kim Jong-un. Have you?
You're still taking phone calls from him.
You've spoken to him, and what do you think?
Have you spoken to him
about the Biden administration when it comes to North Korea?
No. It would not. It's not good if he has spoken to him.
Well, I had a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un in the end.
Yeah, of course. I mean, anybody who runs a giant Jonestown and has entire work camps and people are just flat out murdered for disagreeing with him. I mean, why wouldn't you get along with him?
We started off rough, but we got along very well, and we like each other, and it was a good thing. If you remember, when I first came in, everyone thought we were going to war with North Korea, and that didn't happen. Now I notice that it's a very bad situation, and very bad situation with China. China never spoke to me the way they spoke to our representatives. They never spoke to us that way.
No, they signed a deal with you, and according to you, they attacked us with a bioweapon while you were busy signing shit. They used basically the suckers game with you.
Ever. The way they spoke to our people in Alaska was horrible. And if you look at Iran is now, we would have had a deal done very quickly with Iran.
Sure, yeah. We're this close, guys. This close.
Iran, the way it should have been done. And now they're talking about going back into the Iran deal, which is unthinkable.
Former President Trump joins American agenda. I guess that's the show title, not the actual agenda to support America.
Right.
Everything. It's just nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. And the Middle East.
Nobody's ever seen anything quite like it? What? Quite like what? Our relationship with Iran? Hang on. May I? Oh, let's see. What's a good one? Nobody's ever seen anything quite like the circumstance in Iran. There's nobody's had anything to do with. There's never been. We haven't gone through stuff with it where it was. I mean, honestly, I don't consider myself an aficionado of, but obviously, probably things are better with, were better with Iran before.
We had peace. We were going to have total peace in the Middle.
Total peace, guys. All we had to do was give every Middle Eastern country $50 billion worth of weapons. It's a great plan. Guys, nobody ever thought of this before. I don't know why. What could possibly go wrong?
In the Middle East, the Abraham Accords were incredible. And
They were sweet. I mean, I feel like isn't Abraham a character from The Walking Dead? He didn't do so well, I don't think. Hold on.
Acknowledged to be incredible. And then, of course, I came up...
No, it wasn't. It wasn't acknowledged to be incredible. It was quite credible. It was like an attempt. It was weird. The idea, though, that every country you talk to basically just expanded their arms sales to the United States in exchange for commercial flights with Israel because they were already having private flights. Who cares?
Came up with a vaccine. We pushed people like they've never been pushed before at the end.
Like they've never been pushed before. And specifically, he's talking about the vaccine supplier that he paid ahead of time and pushed and ignored all the safety issues that they had, and they've never produced a useful dose of the vaccine.
The FDA and elsewhere, and got a vaccine done in 9 months instead of 5 years.
Yeah, because that's the standard.
Right.
And it's
Right.
we did a great job, but now we have somebody else running it. If you look at China, they have ships all over the place. They have, very threatening, having to do with Taiwan. Very threatening. I was never threatened.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because you never protected Taiwan.
Why do you think that you were treated so differently than they have come in and immediately treated President Biden?
Well,
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like our adversaries test every new president.
they have to respect your leader, and they have to respect your leadership. And if they don't, it's going to be very tough. Russia, the same thing. You look at what's happening with Russia. Russia's very aggressive now. They weren't aggressive with me. They weren't aggressive.
Yeah, Russia wasn't aggressive during Trump at all. Because they didn't have to be. You let them in. Nobody needs to kick in the door if you're laying out the red carpet.
With our country, despite the fact that we had the Russian hoax, which made it tougher for them and for us. It was a
Why?
hoax between Schiff and all these other characters. They're all a bunch of crooks. But
We're getting back into the gripe
that
zone.
was a hoax, the Russian hoax. We went all through that. But despite that, they had respect for the president, and they had respect for.
No, they didn't. Putin clearly viewed Trump as a dog with his belly
Our
up.
country. They don't respect our country anymore. It's
Yeah, it's almost like the Russians never really respected us. I don't know what's going on.
since this happened.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, they see the same thing that you see and that I see, and it's not a good situation. And I hope he's well. I hope everything's fine from that standpoint, physically, and mentally. But I certainly hope he's well. But countries are not respecting our leadership. That's for sure.
Do you
You don't think so?
think that he is capable of doing the job from what
Yeah, tell us. Do you think he's capable of operating a remote control?
you've seen? I mean, you had to do the job. You're working 24 hours a day.
Well, he didn't have to.
People would actually laugh about the fact that you rarely seem to be ever sleeping, but it does take that kind of initiative and drive to do the job. Do you think he is up for it, or do you think someone else is doing the job right now?
Oh, that's the old Kamala is running things. It's really the left that's driving, because he never campaigned on these things. We're going that route, you think? This is so far left of Bernie. Is that where we're going?
Well, it does take that kind of drive, and it takes tremendous strength and enthusiasm
And that's why you lost and were only served one term?
and
And golf?
everything that you can imagine. I mean,
Everything that you can imagine. Wow, that's... I can imagine a lot, I'm just saying.
you need the highest levels of every ingredient necessary. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's basically a giant kitchen of human capability.
it's a full-time. When I say full-time, it's 50 hours a day, and you understand what I mean by that.
Right.
She does. No, she doesn't.
It's a lot of work, and I think other people are making most of the decisions, but I may be wrong about that. I don't
You are.
know.
All right.
Look, I debated him, and I was,
And he kicked your ass? Yeah.
a little surprised at what was being said.
Let's talk about
I debated him, and I was a little surprised what was being said, because everybody told him that he's got a stutter, he's a mush mouth, he won't be able to put a thought together. He's been running on this whole thing. Biden's got dementia the entire time, and then this dude who everybody around him tells him has dementia kicks his ass in the debates. And he's like, I'm a little surprised at some of the words.
I
Thank you.
don't really know him very well, but
Right.
to be honest with you, somebody's making decisions. Let's put it this way. Bernie Sanders, if he
On his greatest day, in his prime time, wouldn't even dream of this is so far to the left of Bernie Sanders, right?
if he ever won, he would never have gone anywhere near this. He cannot believe what's going on. This is Bernie Sanders on steroids.
Weren't you on steroids?
Our country's becoming a socialist nation. This is Bernie Sanders on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
But is it Bernie Sanders on steroids?
And the only good thing to come out is now they finally agreed, after screwing up the construction, which was going along perfectly, is going to be finished soon. They finally agreed to rebuild or to complete the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. She reminded you of that just a minute ago. Like, I love when he thinks that something they were just talking about is a new thought.
Which shouldn't take them a long period of time, but that's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about vaccines. Let's put vaccines on hold for just a moment. And since you talked about Bernie Sanders, the infrastructure plan that everyone is talking about that includes every.
Horrible. Here it comes. This infrastructure, this faux infrastructure plan. I think probably Mark Levin probably has a word or two to say about that.
Under
Hideous.
the sun, other
Everything.
than infrastructure, usually at least under
nursing pods, moccasin classes. Everybody has to look after a dolphin and a fish tank in their house. There's a whole whale saving section, which is like I think $900 billion. And yeah,
under your administration, infrastructure was bipartisan.
It didn't exist. It never happened. It was a joke. It was always infrastructure week. You never.
The bipartisan effort. This
so bipartisan that the Republicans never voted for it.
Administration seems to be making no effort to be bipartisan when it comes to either COVID relief or this multi-trillion-dollar.
No effort? No effort? No effort. Did they not have meetings? Offer to let people add ideas to it? I'm sorry, at what point is it the responsibility of the inviter to make the invitee bipartisan?
$1 billion infrastructure plan that
Burt Peterson
includes the Green New Deal and what they're calling human infrastructure. What do you see as the path?
Which is obviously a code for pedivore, baby-eating Democratic space Jews.
Moving forward for any type of bipartisanship, and what happens when it comes to taxes? They're talking about reversing the corporate tax rate that you.
Well, no, it's moving it up halfway. It was literally moderating the tax cut. 35 went to 21, putting it back to 28, not to 35. Had the other one not passed, this would be an enormous tax cut still.
You lowered and raising it again to 28%.
Well, you have companies leaving our country. I brought them back. So many companies came back.
Oh, yeah,
and they
Carrier.
invested money in the country, like
they totally did.
That nobody can even believe.
Yeah, because they're not believable.
They weren't able to bring their money back in because of the.
What? Wait a minute. Hold on. Look, I know Trump is fascinating. I know we're all just riveted by his thing, but look at the scroll down at the bottom.
In our country, I brought them back.
Navy official.
Came back,
no indications. Mysterious drones
like
are extraterrestrial. Just doing that.
Weren't able to bring their money back in because of the tax structure was too high, so they left their money do all of the work in other countries, and it was coming in by the trillions, and it was a great thing.
No, it wasn't. If it was coming in by the trillions, then why did you have $1 trillion deficit every year?
What was happening, and all of that's going to be reversed. It's a very sad, including jobs. We had the greatest job numbers in history. Nobody's ever had numbers even close.
Really? Because in the 50s, we had 1.2% unemployment, almost complete employment. I mean, the jobs numbers last month, kind of huge.
And all of that now, and I did it twice because I did it once and then the
Gallup poll, COVID-19 fear at record low. Gee, I wonder why.
Plague came in from China, and then after our foundation was so strong. We're doing better than any other country in the world right now, and that's because of the foundation that we built. Economic.
That's right. It's not because Biden actually put a structure together and got a giant rescue package passed that made literally Wall Street giddy.
Economically. And even with COVID, they used to say, oh, look at Germany and look at France and they're all shut down. They're at desperate position right now, and we're open. Where we have good Republican leadership, like in Florida and Texas and some of the other places. I mean, we're open and doing,
You mean where the cases are ballooning?
really well and doing better numbers than the places that are closed, like New
Yeah, because you can trust DeSantis's numbers.
York. Better numbers.
It's weird how the honest numbers always sound like shit, and the fake numbers always sound so much better.
Medically or with COVID, we're doing much better numbers in the states that have been opened and run by Republicans. So, look, I think it's very sad when you watch what's happening. And again,
we got great numbers. Everything's really opening. It's good. It's very sad when you see what's happening.
The only glimmer is they want to finish the wall now. That was a big mistake, and at least they're. I'm not knocking them. I'm giving them maybe the opposite of that.
Yeah, what's the opposite of knocking? Doorbell?
At least they're willing to say we made a mistake and we're going to finish the wall.
Well, you mentioned,
It's the points where it was already existing barrier. You made a hole where there was none. They're just going to finish the hole.
a glimmer of hope. Looking forward to 2022. You have been out there already
yeah.
endorsing some candidates. Who would be your next big endorsements that you would make?
Yeah, tell us. Make some news right here on Something Max. I forget the name of the show.
Well, we have a lot of them coming up. You'll see, and everybody wants the endorsement because if they don't get the endorsement, they're not going to win for the most.
Yeah, really. If you don't get Trump's backing, you can tell just from the numbers on this interview. I mean, honestly.
Part they're not going to win. We just endorsed a fantastic young woman from Louisiana, as you know, and.
What's her name?
She ended up winning in Congress. Her husband passed away, COVID-19. He just got elected. He was
it was in COVID-20?
Congressman elect. And she ran, and most people expected a runoff or less, and she ended up getting
less than a runoff.
65% of the vote after we endorsed her. So everybody wants the endorsements. And
yeah, it didn't hurt that she ran in a red district on with her husband's name, who was the incumbent.
We are going to be announcing quite a few of them over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, just keep us posted, though. Maybe a running list.
I think all of those people that...
You know what? You could tweet them.
We endorse are going to go on to victory. People see what's happening. People see it very much.
I mean, you can see it on reruns mostly. Rerun was actually on what's happening.
And they respect it. They respect the job we did.
What about specifically Alabama?
Do they?
Alabama, Missouri, or Ohio? Are you looking at any of those candidates?
Those places you won.
Mo Brooks?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All of them.
Yeah, more of that.
Great people going in those states.
Good
and they're
folks.
Great states, and they're states
Great
that I won
states.
by a lot.
Right. Gee, I wonder why he thinks that's... So there are shitty parts of America. I get it.
As you know, Alabama, Missouri, Ohio. I won by a lot. And they all want an endorsement, and I'll be largely making those. Sometimes, you have two or three really good and supportive, but also really, really good candidates, and sometimes you have to let that just play out. But
yeah. I mean, there's so many.
I'll be generally speaking making endorsements.
What is it?
That's good. That's breaking news. I will be generally speaking making endorsements. Like lightning.
What does it take to get your endorsement, and would you be...
Yeah, how much? What's the going price right now? Do you have to have a Mar-a-Lago membership, or is being a white supremacist enough?
willing to maybe just name one right now?
Please make some news on my show, because no one's going to listen to this rambling bullshit.
I'm pushing you on it.
Well, look, I can say that, I haven't endorsed yet, but Mo Brooks in Alabama has done a
She brought that up, dummy.
spectacular
Of course you're going to back him.
job of fighting
$124,000. Is that it?
for an election integrity, and he's a strong guy. He's a tough guy.
It does look like it says con the phone.
He loves his state. I mean, I could see going that way. You have other really good people. They're really good people. But,
Yeah.
Mo is...
I mean, it's a solid red district. I could just pick whoever I'll tell you what, I'm in a district that's going to go red and I really don't know. I'll just say the Republican. I'll campaign for the Republican and then say I picked the one.
right out there on the front lines, and he was fighting for election integrity. He saw what happened with the 2020 presidential election. It was
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, Biden kicked your ass, and yeah, pretty brutal.
rigged and stolen, and he saw that.
Oh, it's terrible. Rigged and stolen.
And others saw that too.
What about
Well, no. I mean, bunch of, Q wannabes and Rudy Giuliani, but
Eric
But Mo is
Greitens or
very good
Josh
at
Mann?
why is she dressed like Vanna White? You're kidding, right? You don't think that she's allowed to come to work in a in like a suit jacket? It's Newsmax. She's talking to the president. She has to have her arms showing. It's a sign of submission.
You know,
Mandel?
he's running for the Senate. You have some wonderful people in Ohio, and
Trump. Mo Brooks in Alabama has done a spectacular job. Jesus
Missouri.
Christ.
You have some
This is like Trump refrigerator poetry.
wonderful people running, and we'll be letting people know very, very shortly.
Yeah, let everybody know. Yeah, she wants you to let her know on her show to help her out because she's sitting through this whole... They edited all your weird, like where you farted, they edited that out for you so that you would break some news on her show.
Very shortly.
Okay. Well, you could let them know right now, but you can think about that.
Well, I
Please.
think you do a fantastic job, by
Well,
the way,
thank you.
Heather. I
I
think
do
you're really
appreciate it.
a real professional,
I appreciate
Why did she get a Chiron? Why didn't they go, she does a fantastic job?
Appreciate
and I
it very much.
appreciate it.
What about this big RNC donor meeting? They're all coming down to Palm Beach this weekend?
We have a lot of senators, congressmen, and donors coming down to Palm Beach, to Mar-a-Lago. We have
Yeah, it's a shame Ghislaine Maxwell can't be there, but like her bond hearing was postponed.
a very big ballroom, and it's going to be
Empty.
full. It's going to be really something. You know, Florida's back in action,
It totally is.
and they've done. Ron has done a fantastic job.
Fantastic job hiding the numbers.
The state is really, people want to come here.
What's
People
the
really- and
significance?
A lot of people are coming and
Yeah.
not moving back to other
Right.
locations.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like your son, that was disappointing, wasn't it? Don Jr. just bought a house like 20 minutes from Mar-a-Lago. That's who he's talking about. Like a lot of people are moving down here and not leaving.
Which is pretty tough for those other locations.
Yeah, I don't blame them for the ones that left New York because we are nowhere near back. What's the significance of all the RNC folks coming down there this weekend, and how often do people try to come down there to get your endorsement and to get your help?
Yeah, I mean, it must be like crazy. I mean, do you even have time to golf?
All the time, and far more so than even a year ago or 6 months ago.
You mean when you weren't living at Mar-a-Lago?
You see the polls, and the polls have been incredible. We have
Yeah, they're great polls, especially Rasmussen. Like if you haven't looked at the Rasmussen one, it's not as good as the Rasmussen one, but it's good.
95% approval ratings, and we have, really,
With who? Mar-a-Lago members?
it's an incredible thing.
It's incredible.
If you look back to,
Yeah,
normal,
6 months.
wonderful times, which frankly were probably,
Look back to normal, wonderful times, which were frankly what?
normal, wonderful times, which frankly were probably in many ways worse than this, because we got hit with COVID.
Right.
We got hit with the plague from China, so that sort of puts a pall on things.
Seriously, Biden's supposed to have dementia?
But if you look back, you'll see that, generally speaking, an endorsement doesn't mean a thing. Having an endorsement from Ronald Reagan was wonderful to have, but it didn't mean that much in terms of points. And I'm giving endorsement, and people are going up 30, 40, 50 points. It's been pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
And it's a great
In Republican primaries.
honor. But I have to be very careful with it, because I want
Yeah, you want it because you want to have because once people realize that you're just picking who the party is picking and that they're automatically crafting their own poll numbers, that once people are on to the fact that it's a flim flam, you're not going to they're not going to come kiss the ring, and then there goes the brand.
we want great people to be in there. We want people that love our country, that are going to be willing
Right.
to fight for our country and be strong.
And by our country, we mean a few of the states and screw everybody else.
And I think those are the people that we are endorsing. Low taxes, keep the taxes low, strong military, Second Amendment. I mean, there are 5 or 6 things that are just, very, very important.
Right.
And
So you have a checklist, and then they fill out the form, and if their check clears, they get the endorsement.
Those things are being obliterated. You know the Democrats are looking to virtually demolish your Second Amendment.
Of course. Your Second Amendment you got over there. Dude never shot a gun, can't shoot, doesn't own a gun, like has security. Your Second Amendment. It's not his.
I said that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I did want to finally just ask.
What the hell is that edit? Again, why are they editing this? Why do you have to transition? Does he have to go, I got to take a call, and then they just cut it out?
Because you were talking about endorsing candidates. Will you be using your new social media platforms for that? And what?
Yeah, what? Frank? No, that's Mike Lindell's. What's yours called? Trump? Strump?
Can you tell us about it? And also the
Orange Facebook?
presidential library. Any news on that front?
Yeah, tell us about the library. Emphasis on the lie.
So we have a lot of people that want to come onto social media. Right now, as you know, we're doing releases, press releases, I guess you could call them, and they're getting out to everybody.
Wait, press releases, I guess you could call them? You mean your statements from the office of the former president?
Now, as you know, we're doing releases, press releases, I guess you could call them, and they're getting out to everybody. They're very effective, actually.
Yeah, they're great. They're super. That last one, I mean, I can almost... Yeah, I can smell the not giving a shit.
I mean, I think I'm getting the word out to everybody.
Everybody. And
it's done in a way, it's done in a more elegant way. But
it's so elegant. I'm glad he uses that word over and over again.
We have a lot of options on social media and platforms.
You do, yeah, totally. You know, like we're looking to get into sort of a licensing deal with sort of a low-end one where I just slap my name on an already existing one and bring some traffic over to it and then start selling through it right away.
Platforms, and at the right time we'll be making the announcement. You know.
Yeah, at the right time. Couple weeks, 2 weeks, in a very short period of time. In the next 2 weeks, right? You know.
We had probably 200 million people, between 90 million people on Twitter.
Oh my God, this one again, where everybody that's the same subscribers on multiple platforms, many of them paid for. He's counting them twice and 3 times, and he's worried about voting integrity.
And then we had. POTUS had a 36 million.
We
were one of the top on Facebook, and you know all of these people, and the big tech cut them off because they were not happy with the progress that we made. They cut them off. They silenced a voice, and a big voice, and many other voices, and many.
Yeah, several voices. All these. I heard a sound. There was a disturbance in the force. It's like the sound of millions of voices crying out and then all being silenced at once.
People left Twitter.
You continue with the studies, Luke.
Twitter's become very boring.
It is very boring. It is. And
it's amazing. Like, where am I going to go? And how, like, if I can't post a bullseye meme in front of a sort of brownish looking woman with a, like, come and take it hashtag across it, what fun is there?
And anybody says it isn't telling the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, most people left. I left, and then I came back, and then I left again, and I come. I mean, I'm not on it all the time.
Well, many people have left, Heather.
You mean all the people who went to Parler? Bye.
It's incredible. They're leaving, and
the bots.
It's no longer. You know, when I went on Twitter, years ago, it was like a dead company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was totally dead. That's what drew you to it.
And then it became.
Are we going to find out that he's going to start floating this idea that Dorsey actually paid me to be one of his celebrities on there? That whole thing about Ashton Kutcher and CNN was bullshit. I was the first one to get $1 million.
Hot. Now it's becoming dead again. People are bored. I mean, I'm hearing this from everybody.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because you hear from people who are unbiased about their experience.
They're bored stiff. So Facebook is so big.
Right.
You know, they had a big drop off too in value after that happened. But Facebook is big enough. But Twitter is becoming very, very mundane,
boring,
and very. People are not enjoying it so much anymore.
At all. It says the guy who's not on it.
Facebook pulled the interview that you did with your daughter-in-law, Laura, so she had to put it on Clout Hub. It'll be interesting. I'm sure I will lose thousands and thousands of followers on Twitter after our interview today. They'll just magically disappear.
I think you'll gain a lot of respect, actually, because you're one of the people that tells us.
that has me on.
Like it is. No, you'll gain a lot of respect. You know, when you speak up and when you tell the truth, ultimately, like, they haven't silenced me. I'm getting my voice out just as good as I did.
Yeah, with his, I think they're called press releases.
If I had Twitter, and I get in less trouble.
Oh, yay. Jess, you're sitting next to V. Gabriel. He's in the hospital. He got through surgery well yesterday, having a bit of a rough time healing. That'll happen. Love to you guys. V. Gabriel, heal well. Hang in there. Take your time. Don't rush it. Don't be in a hurry to heal. Just let your body do it. Breathe into that. Make sure you're getting plenty of water and oxygen, and let your body do what it needs, and then let the good people of medicine around you to give you what you need. Much love to both you guys, Jess.
Because I don't retweet people that I, perhaps after you do massive research, you'll figure you shouldn't be retweeting. But
you mean white supremacists and people who are have question the Holocaust? If you do massive research, you mean if you click once?
But, no, this is, in many respects, it's better than Twitter.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Well, we will look for it.
I think you're going to do very well based on this interview. And
yeah, it's going to be great. This is your rocket. That honest to God, I mean, it's only been a couple of days, but the 164,000 views it's got. Don't be hurt by the fact that Newsmax has 1.8 million subscribers and only 164,000 watch this horseshit. Don't be upset by that. Come on.
And you're doing well anyway, but you're going to do very well, Ben.
You're going to, yeah, it's already good, but it's going to be even gooder.
To this interview.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate so much of your time today.
Yeah, especially the time you cut out of the interview for God knows what reason.
I know that our Newsmax viewers were watching, and they're appreciative as well.
Well, not a ton of them. Yay, new patron.
Well, thank you very much, Heather, and keep up the good work.
All right. Have a great rest of the day.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for...
Hey, Rob, that was great, man. Thanks for having him on. I learned a lot or whatever, especially that whole part where he couldn't figure out the remote. Did you know that baseball's on more than one channel now? Like, how do you even find it? Here's my question. See if you can see what my big gripe... This, by the way, this is this is everybody's against baseball right now. He's wearing a baseball cap, but it's like a military one, so I don't know if that was a choice. Like, give me a baseball cap. Mr. Producer, need a baseball cap. And, but one that's not baseball, it's military, got a flag on it, so I can steal valor from military people and pretend I give a shit. This is short. But this is, I mean, they are so pissed about Major League Baseball.
Anything is restrictive that they disagree with. Anything.
Hold on, I'll run.
For the
this backwards.
Democrats, anything is restrictive that they disagree with. Anything is Jim Crow that they disagree with. Anything.
Well, no. I mean, I disagree with the idea that the Snyder Cut really made a difference, but I don't think it's.
Anything is racist that they disagree with. Anything is sexist that they disagree with.
No, I think it's the other way around, Mark. When you're being racist and sexist, you get disagreed with a lot. And since you're like that a lot, you feel like everything I say, somebody thinks is racist. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, Mr. Producer, where there's smoke is fire.
And they can go to hell.
All right, well, I guess that settles it. Here's my question, Mark, and far be it from me to question the Blaze's, rock solid production that they have over there. I mean, have you seen Glenn Beck's set? It looks like the inside of a spaceship. It's fantastic. Here's what this is my big question, Mark, is why the fuck won't they turn on the lights for your show anymore? Seriously. Did they just refuse? The set is not, you're not lit. None of this is lit. Did they go out and you're like, I'm going to shoot it anyways, I don't care. We'll do it live-ish. Why is it not lit? This is not a trick of exposure. Literally, this is what the set looks like that's like emergency lighting. My set is better lit. I know, Kelly. I'm not right? They don't want to see his face either. And he's got a hat on, which would block even light if they... All right.
And all the corporations that back him can go to hell?
All of them. Every single one of them. I mean, Mark flies private anyways.
And all the sports players and sports leagues and sportscasters that back
And women and children and men and churches, and they can all go to hell.
him, they can all go to hell?
Okay, but can they go to hell?
We shouldn't destroy our system because people are ignorant.
Well, that's what you're doing.
Or because people are pursuing a radical left agenda, or they ultimately want to undermine our voting system to ensure that the Democrat Party is elected for another century without challenge. We've seen what's happened in countries
Well,
like that.
obviously you could challenge them, but you're just going to lose.
What the Democrat Party sees here is the opportunity with this election law to destroy the Republican Party, to prevent
How would it destroy the Republican Party?
any serious competition for the presidency, vice presidency, Senate, or House of Representatives. It's that simple.
But, so governors and state legislatures and all that kind of stuff, they would be solidly in Republican hands, is what you're saying? They could only control the federal elections. So by only dealing with the federal elections, then the Republicans there'd be a huge opening, it would seem, for Democrats to lose state houses. Effectively, the Republicans become a regional party and take over, large swaths of the country and have massive control points over it and use their leverage, having the governor's mansions of several states against the oh, right. That's actually well thought out.
And you can see these various elements in the culture that support the Democrat Party.
Totally.
Backing them. Stacey Abrams, LeBron James, Steph
Black
Kerry, the media, the corrupt and crooked media in this
Jews.
country. They know what they're doing, and we know what they're doing.
They're using black people. They're weaponizing black people, using Jewish organizations to stop white people from, I don't know.
Now, the reason why Joe Biden is in the gutter is because he's never left the gutter.
He's in... This is baseball, not bowling. The reason Joe Biden is in the gutter, he literally, his programs are polling well with Republicans.
And so when he says this is Jim Crow, he knows it's not Jim Crow, but he doesn't care. The ends justify the means. It's worse than Jim Crow. It's Jim Eagle. Somebody tried to coin that. Everybody said, well, that's stupid. You've even had the Washington Post try to correct Joe Biden on a few occasions. He said that polls close at 5 p.m. Can you imagine that? People are just getting home and working. Well, the polls in Georgia are open from 7 in the morning to 7 at night.
But the bill gives them the ability to make it earlier, and it's the time, not the actual hours. The bill allows counties to make it 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. if they want to. Hence the issue.
That has not changed. The polls...
Yes, it has. The majority of places will keep it the normal time, but if people want to stop working people from voting, they just cinch it up.
In Georgia, we're not open on Sundays, so now they're opening it on Sundays and Saturdays if people want to vote on the weekend. That is a change. That's an expansion. 17 days, as I said, for early voting. That is an expansion. So there's nothing here that is regressive or restrictive in any respect. Now,
Look, you can have all these opportunities to vote early. We're still going to send you broken machines.
telling you about this because I've actually read this proposed and now statute. I read part of it on the air and radio as well. Almost everybody else commenting on it hasn't read a damn thing.
I read it. Go for it.
The head of the baseball league, the commissioner, he hadn't read it. The CEO of Delta, he hadn't read it. The CEO of Coca-Cola, who I think is a Brit, by the way, he hasn't. None of these people have read it.
Oh, is that what the Brit thing is? So that's London calling from there. That's the Coca-Cola thing. That's why Trump gives a shit. That's why he brought up London. They don't know how things work here. Coca-Cola doesn't. He's drinking Diet Coke, so that's why he gives a crap.
Some of them actually supported it before, like Delta, said, this is fine. But then the left, the Marxists jump in and they attack.
Yeah, the Marxists. You don't, in Marxism, you don't vote.
And the Democrats jump.
Marxism is antithetical to democracy.
In and they attack, and the
You
president
realize that, right? There's no process wherein voting happens.
jumps in and urges a boycott. Well, we're going to get into that in a minute.
Yeah, urging boycotts is terrible. And if they try, we're going to urge a boycott.
MSNBC, Stephanie Rule, who is a disgrace.
Stephanie Rule is fucking awesome. I think she's on my girlfriend and on both our hall pass list. She's super smart. And the irony is that she's probably the most baseline sensible about Wall Street stuff, because she's surrounded by it. She's literally a part of the economics world in New York. She's not some dyed-in-the-wool, anti-capitalist activist.
Talking to New York Times reporter Sorkin. Now, it's always interesting to me.
And whatever's interesting to you, Mark, is interesting to us. Except for that fucking Donald Trump cookie jar.
When you have one so-called journalist interviewing another so-called journalist, what is the point of that?
Well, one isn't a journalist. They're a television host. And the journalists do the written part where they break down stories. They chase down individual stories. They've got a specific beat. Whereas the television personality, in the case of Stephanie Rule, covers an entire beat. And when they want to go into the deep reads on a particular story, they often will bring on journalists who've been covering it exclusively or specifically for a time. So let's say I do a show about economics, and it's about the there's all kinds of stuff within that. The gold standard and the Fed and taxes and the housing market and all that. And then we find out the credit default swaps are a thing. We're going to bring in somebody who's been covering the credit default swap story for a while and interview them and talk to them because they're another source. So you don't have to redo their interviews. You can bring them in. I'm sorry. That was my mistake. I thought that was a real question. You're just being a dipshit.
There is no point of that.
No, there's exactly the point I just made. Folks, that's what television news is. Television news is basically a podcast for written journalism.
So what's the point of my playing it? To humiliate these people.
That'll do it, yeah. Yes, anyone would be humiliated just to have Mark Levin talking about them.
Go.
Go.
Critics are saying CEOs should not be weighing in on Georgia voting laws or morality. But that's not what this is about. What CEOs are experts in is risk management. Haven't they decided basically that staying silent is going to hurt their bottom line a whole lot more?
Let me just stop you there.
She's literally making a normal pro-business argument. And she's also saying that these companies aren't woke. That's not why they're doing this.
It's more about risk management with these CEOs. These boardrooms are filled with leftists.
That's what it is. Big lefty organizations. I mean, it's all, I don't know if you've seen it. They used to be shockingly white and male, and now they aren't anymore. And clearly, all they're doing is absorbing Marxists, because that's how you keep a giant corporation afloat.
These boardrooms and media are filled with leftists. All over the country, they're filled with leftists.
Yeah, he can smell them. Mark knows them. The lighting guy was a leftist, so he told him to leave. He said, exit stage left, buddy. That's why the lights aren't on.
Silicon Valley and so forth. And maybe this so-called reporter would do better in asking the question rather than making a statement and putting a question mark behind it. Go.
Go.
This is a business decision, and what's so remarkable about what's happened over this past week is, Republicans have always loved big business and free markets until the big businesses turn against them on issues, in this case, social issues.
Okay, let's stop. Voting is not a social issue.
Okay, it's not a social issue. He's channeling his inner Dennis Miller.
It's a constitutional issue. It's not a social.
It's a constitutional issue. It's a social issue if you're making it super easy for affluent white people to vote and really fucking hard for working class whites and black people to vote. That would make it a social issue. If people are standing in line for 7 hours in certain neighborhoods, but in other neighborhoods they're out in 20 minutes, that's a social aspect of that issue.
Social issue. It's not even a cultural issue. That's not.
No. American culture isn't based on the idea of democracy.
Number one. Number two, these are corporatists. We've been talking about this now for years on radio.
Corporatist communists. Yeah.
Even here.
Yeah, even there, But I was talking about it with the lighting guy, and he just like got all mad and walked off in a huff. All I heard was a click, and then we had to shoot.
Who do not support free market capitalism or competition.
Yeah, that's the problem with giant American corporations.
They support government smothering competition. They support special privileges from government. Look at big tech. They wouldn't survive but for the fact that in
Yeah, okay, Section 230.
1994 or so, they got protections against lawsuits. Look at big media. Same thing with the New York Times versus Sullivan
If they didn't, you wouldn't be on Rumble right now, dickhead.
decision, a disaster.
I mean, you wouldn't be anywhere.
In the 1960s, again, protecting them from the market system. So you and I support...
From the market? Are you just upset because you only got 538 Rumbles? Boo-hoo. Mark Levin, though, I mean, come on. 500,000, this is legit. This is how you can tell somebody's numbers are real and aren't purchased. Subscribers, 564,000. Views, 3,234. Yeah, yeah, it seems legit.
Support businesses that want to participate fair and square in a free market.
How come I have like, what, like 17,000 subscribers on YouTube? A paltry sum compared to others, but all legit people, which I'm very proud of. And my viewer numbers are higher on a lot of my videos than his. How's that work?
Competitive market. What we reject are big businesses that don't want to do that.
Yeah.
The big businesses that don't believe in that. And we've seen these kind of businesses in fascistic regimes, even Marxist regimes, where they coddle up to the government. And so,
yeah, remember when Hitler took over that lemonade company? It was brutal.
So here we have two liberal Democrats dressed up as journalists mocking Republicans.
For all this and much more.
Yeah, tell us. Don't open out around. He has, by the way, all of this. Hold on, is it here? Yeah, the United States of Democrats. This is awesome. So this is the opening of his show. I'm so jealous. Like, so I want Dennis. I want Glenn Beck's studio, and then I want this opening. Give me a second. Yeah. Because you have to listen to the music. Listen to what, okay, I play guitar. I know what it is to hunt for a riff. I know what it is to try and, make your feelings come out through an instrument, And so when I look at, like, the theme songs that people choose for what, their show is, to show who they are, it's just, watch when his face comes in. Ah, it's just gorgeous. Wait, listen to this shit. Here you go.
Welcome, folks. This is Mark.
Mark Levin tonight.
Mark's Short Takes.
Thank God, because the long ones are, by the way, it's the same length as his other videos.
There was a back and forth between a very intelligent congressman who has served his country bravely, Congressman Michael Waltz, Republican, and a Democrat who is a host at CNN, as they all must be.
Yeah, they're all vetted that way.
This
You have to turn in your voting history when you get in a job interview at CNN.
Attempt by the Democrats to nationalize our voting system.
Nothing like that would ever fly at Fox, though. I'm sure Fox is like, more Democrats the merrier.
It has nothing to do with Jim Crow, has nothing to do with the South, and everything to do with a neo-Marxist power grab.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. A neo-Marxist power grab. And of course, if you don't know what that is, that's Keanu Reeves and Richard Marx. It's the name of their side project. Neo-Marxist power grab. Honestly, it's not since Hall & Oates. All right.
By the Democrat Party that wants to use a 50-50 vote in the Senate. That is, they have no majority.
You mean like when Trump passed his tax cut?
And a 10-vote difference in the House, the smallest in a century, to make permanent a majority. That is, to make it impossible for the Republicans to win the presidency, the Senate, or the House.
Yeah. Because they want to put this clause in there that you have to run someone who's qualified and that appeals to people.
They pulled this in California with the governor and the assembly there. They not only have a supermajority, they have a super-duper majority.
I agree. I think they're lovely people.
And so basically in California, it's the Democrats fighting the Democrats. The Republicans have a very minor role.
Yeah, they basically pass out water during the fights.
They want to pull the...
They're cornermen.
Same thing in this country is they turn one red state to purple and one purple state to blue.
That's gross. I think if it turns yellow, it's healing, though.
You can see what they're doing in Texas and Arizona.
I know, absolutely. I get the magazine in the mail.
Which is really the core reason Joe Biden has done what he's doing on the southern border. And now they want to also use our voting system as their place.
Oh, you're letting Mexicans in. That's what he means.
This isn't the United States of the Democrat Party. This is the United States of America.
Thank you, Barack Obama.
And the Democrat Party is using the instrumentalities of the Constitution and our government to empower itself.
You mean effectively?
And it is a huge problem. And rather than the press calling out the Democrat Party and raising concerns about what they're doing to this republic,
the lighting guy in here gets all huffy with me because I keep calling George Soros the Uber Jew. He shut the lights off and split.
They are participants. They are propagandists. They are mouthpieces for it all, as you're about to see.
Yes, with this clip from Fox News.
Go.
I would if I could.
Florida Republicans pushing new voting restrictions. Mike Waltz, Florida.
Want to ask about why then the Democrats, if everything's fine, want to make all states perform their elections the same with H.R. 1 and include things that just don't make sense. Dropping the voting age to 16. Do we want teenagers voting?
No one's dropping the voting age to 16.
Banning any state.
Yeah, registering to vote. When you get your driver's license at 16, you are automatically registered to vote. You just can't vote until you're 18.
Banning any state from requiring ID. I have to present an ID to get cigarettes or beer.
Yeah, but you don't have a constitutional right to cigarettes and beer, dummy.
We certainly should.
You don't. You do know that, right? You have a constitutional right to vote as a citizen of the United States. You do not have a constitutional right to fly an airplane or use a credit card or buy cigarettes and beer.
For the integrity of the vote. So if everything is fine, why are the Democrats cramming this? And I can tell you what's going on in Georgia is about politics. They're gaslighting.
Wait a minute. A voting bill is about politics.
These changes, they're
neo-Marxist power grab live at Red Rock. I would totally go see that.
Gaslighting these improvements and fear-mongering.
It's basically Richard Marx with Dogstar backing them up.
Calling them racist, calling them Jim Crow, so that they can then justify getting rid of the filibuster and then cram through H.R. 1,
well, that's
which will make it the nation
that's
vote
a big
like
stretch
California.
there. You heard the governor say
like
there was a crisis of confidence in all these issues based on a manufactured lie that the election was stolen. There were multiple recounts in Georgia. I mean, both sides.
Look at this dude. Excuse me? It wasn't stolen? You're going to pretend that I'm...
have their arguments about the bill. I just interviewed Gabriel Sterling, Republican, in the Secretary of State's office last night, and he conceded that, yes, I mean, had Donald Trump not lost Georgia, they probably wouldn't have done this. He said there was a punitive measure in the bill against the Secretary of State's office.
No, he said
also
that.
went
I watched that, Pamela. He said that about one specific issue on his...
He said that about... He didn't say it about the whole bill. He just said it about the part you asked him about, and he agreed.
And I said that.
Right.
I said that.
One specific issue. But Gabriel and Kim were...
I'll stop. Listen, I can't watch a man and a woman fight. It upsets me. It reminds me of how lonely I am.
Is this an interview or a debate?
I'm sorry. Is an interview only letting people say whatever the fuck they want? Mark, are you for reporters never pushing back? Let me guess.
Between a left-wing Democrat and a Republican. This is
what she didn't have that kind of contentious interview with the Georgia Secretary of State when she had him on.
Ms. Russia collusion. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Same officials.
Dude, get a stream deck. Let your producer go home. He doesn't need to go blind in a studio with the lights out.
CNN and the media and others were lauding when they pushed back on Trump, but now this is a crisis, and now this is voter suppression, and now this is racist. So I think there's a little bit of talking out of both sides of our mouth on this.
I'm sorry. Was there a voting rights bill that the Republicans were floating that Trump was supporting?
Well, and I'm not taking a certain position. I'm just looking at the facts here, and there are.
Oh God.
There are a record number of bills being passed through Republican legislatures, which they have the right to. Hey, they were elected into office. They have the right to do that. I am not
and
saying
through
that
the Democratic-led Congress, right? So as their number one priority, their first bill, not immigration, not health care reform, not transportation, their number one priority, and if everything is fine, then...
It's H.R. 1 because it was already named. It's a bill that's been sitting there, jackhole.
And why do they want to so dramatically change the way the entire nation
If
votes?
everything is fine, then the same question would go, and I want to get to COVID and China too, but the same question would go again in Florida, where if it was so great, where you guys have been doing mail-in ballots using drop boxes for so long.
Florida was a disaster.
Why?
Florida was a disaster years ago.
Years and years ago,
we've
you guys,
improved,
you've
and we've
improved, so then
improved
why?
every time.
All right, I'm getting a headache. Let me.
He just ended up I'm waiting for him to kick in, and he's just watching television. We're watching, it's bad enough when I get a big segment that I have to okay, is there a point in this? But this is like a human centipede episode.
Let me just say this. What's going on in Florida has nothing to do with what went on in these battleground states.
Well, it used to be a battleground state, now it's not anymore because it's been entrenched in Republican hands in the governorship and the state legislature, so they've been able to, since 2000, or before that actually, make sure that they maintain control of the election system there.
What went on in Florida is the state representatives, working with the governor, made some changes that would prevent the sort of thing that happened in 2000 from ever happening again. That's called democracy or republicanism and representative government. What happened in these battles...
That's a big name. It goes on a bit. Is there you get more of a button? Something you could blink? That's called ba-bow. You know what I mean?
Battleground states had nothing to do with democracy.
Can't say something's called something and then say what it's called is an entire sentence. I'm just saying.
Or republicanism. These were, in most cases, last-minute impositions of changes to help the Democrats, pushed by Democrat lawyers working for the Biden campaign, the DNC, and other Democrat surrogates.
So basically, you're like somebody who feels like the ref was more against your team, and your guys should have won the Super Bowl even though they lost by 2 touchdowns, and it was all because the other team was just they didn't strategize better. They just outplayed you on the field.
With other Democrats, none of whom controlled the state legislatures.
Then it's amazing that they were able to do this if they don't control the state legislatures. Now they want to federalize the system. Well, if they won without controlling the state legislatures, why the fuck do they need you?
Case of Georgia with a very weak secretary.
Why won't he look at the camera? I don't know. I think he's trying to be coy with us.
State who agreed to a consent order that undermined a state legislature. It's really that simple. This has nothing to do with Jim Crow. The voting system would be exactly the same way it was. The system that elected Barack Obama and President of the United States and would elect Joe Biden, the Vice President of the United States. Same exact system. But that's not good enough for the Democrats, is it? Shame on CNN, but then again, they're corrupt to the core. There you have it.
Yeah, well, then why would you shame on it?
This is Mark's Short Takes.
Great. This is really good. Have you talked to Rudy Giuliani about maybe making his show shorter? And it's sad, but his lighting is way better. It sucks, but at least you can see the glory hole. Okay, well, I'm going to, let's see. Gosh, there's so much. So much. It's so much. All right, I want to watch this this flip out from Geraldo's been batting 1,000 this year, and there was a debate on race and politics. So Geraldo needed to be part of it. I don't know why. This stuff's about to burst into flames.
A little patience, a little hard work, determination.
By the way, St. Louis mayor-elect pledges more social workers. So she's saying she's going to expand. She's not defunding the police, but she doesn't want to add social workers to deal with certain kinds of situations.
And the understanding that decades of problems will not be solved within days of solutions.
So that is St. Louis's newly elected first black female mayor on Tuesday of this week.
Why do you have to say black? Seriously. Hammer, seriously. Just say black. Don't black. It just sounds like you're mad.
Her name is Tashara Jones. She's a Democrat. She campaigned on increasing the number of social workers in her city instead of police officers.
So she's not increasing police officers. Did she campaign on cutting the number of police officers? No. Did she want to increase the number of social workers for mental health circumstances so they... That was one of her things. Is that all she ran on?
This despite the city's alarming murder rate this year on track to be even worse than the previous 3.
That's weird. I mean, I don't know what the number was in 2017, and you could argue overlap with the year before and that, but so the murder rate in St. Louis went up every year Trump was in office? What did he do? Did they just dump guns on St. Louis? Was this part of a purge they were trying to help with?
Want to bring in Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera, Leo Terrell, civil rights attorney and Fox News contributor. Gentlemen, good day to both of you. We thought this topic was perfect for you, gentlemen.
Wait. What's his name?
Want to bring in Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera, Leo Terrell.
Fox News, Laura Geraldo Rivera? You mean Geraldo Rivera?
Worse than the previous 3. Want to bring in Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera, Leo Terrell.
Oh, at large, Geraldo Rivera. Jesus Christ.
Civil rights attorney and Fox.
Yeah, I understand. I'm pausing too. My name is Jeff. All right, why are you not playing? Piece of go video. Go video. Why you're not playing? What's happening? Just play all right. Must be getting overplayed. Okay, pause and reload the page. Clearly, things are rough. Oh, I know. There's a crossword puzzle. Okay, here it is. Let's see if this plays again.
A little patience, a little hard work, determination.
As you do.
And
So that is St. Louis's newly elected first black female mayor.
Black?
On Tuesday of this week. Her name is Shara Jones. She's a Democrat. She campaigned on increasing the number of social workers in her city instead of police officers.
Maybe they think they have enough. They're just not cutting any police officers.
This despite the city's alarming murder rate this year on track to be even.
I'm sorry. Are all murders, Bill, are all murders carried out by sane people? Are all interventions dealing with murders that may happen in the future entirely based on beat cops just being nearby and keeping completely sane murders from acting out, or social workers reaching out to people who are on the edge or dealing with family issues where somebody might explode? Like if somebody calls, they're afraid to call the police because their relative is having a mental health episode, and it might be, say there's 3 mental health episodes before this person blows their stack, right? But they're afraid to call as this escalates because they don't want to call 911 on their relative because they're afraid they'll get killed because they're spun. And by the time they finally get around to it and it's that bad, the person does end up getting killed. And that point scares everybody else about calling 911 about somebody who's obviously freaking out. Whereas if you have one of the lower rung ones, you go, he's not freaking out. He's fighting with everybody, but he's not holding a knife or a gun. We think he's getting violent or whatever, but we need some help. It's not quite at 911. We'll just let it slide. And then it escalates because there's no intervention. But if you have social workers and you go, I call 911 and he's having a mental health episode. He's not armed, but we need some help. And he thinks he's hearing voices and yada, yada. And we need help. And we don't want to call, right? If that doesn't exist, they're just going to call 911 after it has already reached a point where the person is violent.
Even worse than the previous 3. Want to bring in Fox News correspondent at large.
I'm sorry, but in Bill's defense, he's not looking for solutions.
Geraldo Rivera, Leo Terrell, civil rights attorney and Fox News contributor. Gentlemen, good day to both of you. We thought this topic was perfect for you, gentlemen.
Yeah, you guys seem great about it. Yes.
So she's going to try something here, Geraldo. More social workers, not police officers. What do you think of it?
Well, you need love. You need kindness. You can always use more compassion. The problem in St. Louis, as it is here in Cleveland and many of the other top 10 murder
What the fuck is he doing in Cleveland?
cities, is the drugs, the gangs, the urban violence, the black-on-black civil war that's been going on that no one talks about.
The black-on-black civil war that's been going on Yeah. The weird part is that one side in the Black Civil War, I don't know if you know this, it wants to tear down the statues of Reggie E. Lee, and there's a lot of pushback.
Black Lives Matter only being focused on black lives when cops take them. It's a bad situation. I wish her the best. She seems very idealistic. It's unrealistic, I think, in many regards. The fractures too deep, the problems too tough, too many.
Yeah. Again, you got 200 some odd murders happening in St. Louis a year. The ones that she's going to be concerned with are not going to be the clean shoots the cops do or inter gang fighting. That's not that will be handled by law enforcement. They have cops that can deal with that. As a matter of fact, those cops should be handling that part of it, and they should not be going on mental health calls that can be handled with a deputy and 2 social workers. It actually lets the cops free up their time and their circumstance to go fight the actual shit.
Too many guns out there, too many bitter feelings, too many drugs.
That's what it is. Basically, and Geraldo would know, he's walked around these neighborhoods with an acoustic guitar singing the feelings of everyone he meets.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I think Leo agrees. That would be my guess, having not spoken to you.
I think he agrees, having not spoken to you. What a weird way to start an interview.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm disappointed. I thought we would have total agreement with this, with Geraldo. This whole idea of cutting back police officers and increasing social workers is a...
That's not what she ran on. She ran on increasing the social workers, not cutting back the police.
A failure. Let me give you some evidence. Portland, Seattle, Chicago, my city, Los Angeles, New York City. Show me where cutting down police officers...
Yeah, she's not cutting down police officers.
And increasing social workers is going to help reduce crime in these democratic cities.
Yeah, and crime in Los Angeles has gone down. There were spikes during the Trump years, but statistically they only became noticeable because of how low crime had actually gotten.
Be very clear. This mayor said, I listened to her speech. She said people resort to crime because they have no hope. That, I don't even know what that means.
It means what she says it means. They don't have an outlet. They don't have, it's why you have gang interventions. It's why you have after school programs, all of that stuff. Those are all social solutions before the person just gets to the murder point where police have to intervene and they die.
The bottom line is this. You want to give them hope? Give them quality education.
Why? She's not defunding the police. She's funding Social Security and social services.
Stop forcing them into these public schools. Education.
Stop forcing. That's what it is. Public schools.
To the key to the poverty cycle. That's the way you break it. But Geraldo, give me a break. All the evidence on Fox News, all this crime is going on in democratic cities where they basically...
you mean where all the people are?
Give the keys to the city to the criminals.
Leo, I'm agreeing with you, bud. I'm agreeing with you. You can't bring a social worker to a gunfight. I agree with you. But there's always room for kindness and compassion, and these families are shattered. Let's try to rebuild the families. I'm all for that. I just think you have to be realistic about what's going on here.
Hold that thought, Leo.
Detroit, Memphis, Birmingham, Baltimore, St. Louis, Kansas City, Cleveland, Little Rock, Milwaukee, all Democratic-run cities, predominantly black. Those are the top murder cities in the country.
Here's what we got.
What's going on.
Geraldo, Chicago.
Yeah, I'm hip.
Chicago crime stats up 55% in 2020.
Chicago crime stats up 55% in 2020. Who was president then? From 2019. 2021, already up 33% versus the same time period last year. Before lockdown, the 55% came after, but we'll work with it.
Homicides, 769. Oakland, similar numbers here. Look at the percentages for 2021, 183%. Austin,
34 to 102. Folks. Okay. Surrounding areas being what they are, there are 425,097 people obviously plus or minus a couple of people, that live in Oakland, specifically in Oakland, California. Of course, in the nearby area, there's 874,961 live in San Francisco, and Sacramento's 500,000. These are overlapping communities, right? This is okay. So in essence, we're talking about 2 million people. In 2 million people, in 2020, there were 102 homicides, and this year there's 34 so far. In 2 million people. 2 million people. 2 million people. And not all of them are locals, you know what I mean? Like some of them, murders happen at truck stops, and murders happen, in vehicles passing through. Some murders are local, some are contract killings, some are gang fights, some are interpersonal murders. This is, you got 2 million people interacting a year, all different people, new people coming in all the time, people coming through. 102. All right.
Austin, Texas, numbers are up there. 42% a year ago. Through February, they're up 10%.
Look at the percentages. The percentage is almost the number itself in this case.
Percent versus...
That's the capital city.
Same time last year. Here's what I find interesting.
What do you find interesting, Bill?
About what's happening in St. Louis. You have 48% white, 45% black. And the newly elected mayor, we wish her the very best of luck with her policy.
But what a shame with the whole blackness.
Leo, here's the question. She said, I appreciate the role of white allies in this movement of progress. I don't believe that they have the lived experience to lead a majority-minority city. Okay, so she said that. This will be an interesting social experience or perhaps even an experiment.
That is the most insulting, racist comment. You know what she's saying? She's saying, because you're white, you don't understand what we as black people go through regarding crime. That makes the assumption then that Joe Biden doesn't know.
Sorry, but white St. Louis constituents do not have the same experience as the vast majority of black St. Louis constituents, especially in Ferguson and the outlying areas. Come on.
Say that she is basically...
By the way, whether or not you have the life experience and whether that life experience can actually inform you in a way that makes you come up with the best solutions, because some people with scars don't come up with any new solutions, and people who have some distance from it might actually have some good ones. That's not indicative. But the idea that she's not right about what she's saying in terms of experience is obvious.
Basically in a better position because she's black is insulting, is racist, and it makes no sense.
It's not that she's in a better position, it's that she has something she can bring to the table that's unique.
Whatever. I reject that argument.
Hey, Leo,
that
when was the last time you were in the ghetto?
Ouch! What?
Wait a second.
What? How dare you say that, sir? I was born. I lived right near the Coliseum. That's where I was born.
I'm from Avenue C, dude. I'm from Avenue C.
What's Saeed? Bam! No gang signs, guys.
You say that.
That
you know
knowledge
nothing
that
about
I
me.
have is helpful.
How dare you say that?
That knowledge I have is helpful.
Insulting.
That knowledge that I have from my background is helpful.
What are you trying to draw?
Geraldo, do you think...
Let her try. Let her try.
What are you trying to
Let her try to...
How dare you imply that lived experience may actually inform, that's unique to a circumstance, may bring a different viewpoint that may not have been thought of before? What an absurd concept.
Try a kinder approach. Maybe it'll work.
You know what?
We certainly have.
You know what Bill just accused me of? Bill Hammer just accused Bill. You know what Geraldo accused me of? He accused me of living in a particular area that I don't understand. How dare you? I've been a civil rights attorney for 30 years. I have fought against discrimination for 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're a civil rights attorney. You're representing people who've been through it, and that's a lovely thing. But you obviously are making money off of the struggle in a way that the people who are experiencing the struggle don't. You know what I mean? It's like saying, how do How dare you tell me I don't understand what it feels like to have whiplash and a broken pelvis? I've been a personal injury lawyer for years.
Okay,
Jesus on earth.
How dare you?
Listen,
You're fabulous.
I love you both.
How dare you?
Guys, hey, we started.
This is too much. You're starting to. You can't talk like this, otherwise I'm gonna get. This will be a viral video.
Out in a moment of peace.
How dare! These guys are great. I'm sorry I don't watch more Fox. I didn't realize. Is it wrestling all the time? When did they put on the masks? And all right. Oh God. All right. Is this? Oh yeah. So, oh my God, we're gonna go long a little bit. So Stankfield has Don Jr. on. It's a relatively short clip, so we'll finish on this tonight, and I'll get back to work. Good Lord.
Well, for more on America's left-wing corporate activism, I'd like to bring in the executive vice president for the Trump Organization, Donald,
who's an expert on left-wing activists.
Trump Jr.
Who apparently, he's live from New York.
It's great to have you back on the program.
Good to be with you.
Good to be with you.
Scratching your head as much as we are about this move to Denver, Colorado?
Yeah, totally. I'm confused about it. It's ridiculous. Yes, it does look like an SNL cold open.
It's ridiculous. You hit some of the statistics and some of the things they were complaining about as it related to the new Georgia laws were frankly just lies pushed by the Biden administration. I mean, he went out there and made all sorts of claims as to what it was, and it wasn't. The Washington Post, of all people.
You do realize you're on the network where Greg Kelly read the part about the water thing. You can't hand out water. Can't pass it out. You can't give it out. Nonpartisan or partisan, it doesn't matter. You can't hand it out. There can be a bucket near the door. If you run out, you're done. What part of this is weird?
The Amazon Washington Post, Jeff Bezos's liberal hit machine, actually gave Joe Biden 4 Pinocchios because of his statements about what was going on in Georgia. Now, that doesn't stop the Biden administration from
calling it Jim Crow on steroids.
Continuing to lie. Jen Psaki, his press secretary, got out and doubled down on the comments, even after being called out by their own side on the non.
And by their own side, he means the Washington Post.
Nonsense, but that's all it is.
Which arguably would get you 4 Pinocchios in the Washington Post for arguing that the Washington Post is on the side of Democrats, especially in regard to an article where it gave them 4 Pinocchios.
It's nonsense. They say, they didn't want to let people have water in line. No, they just didn't want people in campaign paraphernalia handing out food and beverages right.
Yeah, that's already outlawed.
When you're coming in to vote, essentially.
You already can't wear the stuff.
They don't want people being.
You can't campaign on the site. You can just pass out water.
Able to bribe you for a vote.
With a bottle of water.
Not exactly crazy. Like you said, there's 15 days in Colorado early voting, 17 in Georgia. Atlanta, 52%.
Yeah, but because almost everyone in Colorado votes by mail, that amounts, that 15 days, there's nobody in line. If the 17 days early in Georgia, that's a good amount of people. You can go down there and spend a lot of time trying to vote early. In Colorado, there's fucking no one.
% African American. Denver, 10%. This is corporate wokeism simply for the sake of wokeism. There's actually.
Yeah, they don't do it for any other reason. It's basically they have a big spinning wheel in their boardroom, and they go, "Which is it? Woke Wednesdays now?"
Nothing woke about this move.
Well, then why would they do it for woke's sake?
Actually took probably $100 million plus that would have been infused into a predominantly minority and African American community in Atlanta and put it in a predominantly white and wealthy community in Denver. That's not wokeism as far as I'm concerned, but.
Well, maybe they're not doing it based on race. They're doing it based on, punishing the state overall because the state gets more tax revenues out of that than the impact of the actual city of Atlanta.
With today's left, you never know. Common sense is clearly out the window.
Sorry, is it in Atlanta every year? Do they count on it as a regular thing, or is it rotated around? Oh, it's rotated around, and it's a private company, and it's their purview?
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Commies.
Look, your father was kind enough to come on Newsmax earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, it was riveting.
I want to run you a sound.
In the afternoon? That was on in the afternoon?
But what he had to say about all of this. Let's listen and I'll get your reaction.
Oh, great. We get to hear it twice in one day.
I would say boycott baseball. Why not? I think what they did was a terrible thing. I think it's a very unfair thing. And they didn't even know the bill. And, in fact, I think they were aware of the bill as it was going along. Everybody was okay with it. Then as soon as Stacey Abrams speaks up, they end up folding.
You know, Don, I'm curious.
Yeah, that's the thing that Donald Trump had that other people didn't. He could stand up to Stacey Abrams.
You're executive vice president, a huge organization.
Well, the family business, and it's basically a branding operation.
Don't officers of corporations like this have a fiduciary duty to shareholders?
Fiduciary? Sure.
There's one to stay out of politics and make sure that the companies are making money.
No, not to stay out of politics. As a matter of fact, that's what Stephanie Rule was arguing earlier in the program, was that they're actually trying to help their bottom line by arguing for democracy, because they know that if their country isn't based in a country like ours, setting it up in another country that doesn't have that is way more expensive, ultimately.
You would think so, but the problem is, there's no social penalty to being woke, to being a complete leftist, to being a total partisan. But what's really nice...
Well, sure there is.
...is that after...
one of the penalties would be that Joe Biden beats you in the primaries.
Decades of sitting aside, turning the other cheek, Republicans have allowed us to get trampled. But
that's right. They're just wusses.
This week, we actually saw Republican lawmakers and otherwise finally start to push back. Georgia lawmakers, they fought back on Delta, who was doing the same thing. Delta Airlines, they said, hey, let's revoke some of your tax status. I put out a tweet saying...
Yeah, do it. Please, let them move to another state.
Hey, MLB should lose some of their, statuses that they get and the protections that they get. And, a few congressmen and then ultimately senators.
How can
Marco
this not
Rubio,
be more... Seriously, how can this not be more like ultimately Putin's plan? Like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go in there, I want you to make people hate baseball and fight the baseball and say that it's un-American, needs to be shut down. Get rid of baseball, like forever, just end it. Try to drive it out of business. And the other thing is I want the American domestic airlines to completely flatline. I want it basically stand still, like a 9/11 every day.
Ted Cruz sort of got on this movement of, hey, let's pull, MLB's special treatment if they're going to be partisan this way. So if Republicans start fighting back,
they don't get any special treatments.
Rather than simply turning the other cheek and letting the other side win, I think this actually goes away. I think, unfortunately, the only cure for cancel culture is actually fighting back with some of the canceling until people realize it's...
There you go. There you have it. Cancel culture works, according to Don Jr. It's just we have to do it because we're on the receiving end of it all the time. Yeah.
It's a zero-sum game.
It totally is. Isn't life a zero-sum game? When you're writing that book.
Shareholders should be watching. They should be holding these woke CEOs that are making bad decisions for their companies, that are infusing politics into something that doesn't need to be political, and they're destroying shareholder value. They should be responsible for this. They should be held accountable.
Yeah, except their long-term fiduciary duty, as America's pastime, being seen as pro-voting and making sure that everybody has the opportunity to vote, long-term is just going to help their bottom line. I mean, this is the same argument for, not letting Jackie Robinson into the league.
The media will give them a pass, but if shareholders...
Just these woke people want to bring in black players just to be woke.
Get active the way some of these Republican politicians finally did. After years of just getting run over and steamrolled, I think there's some hope.
Yeah, I hope you're right on this. I watched your father teach Republicans finally how to fight again, and then as soon as...
Yeah, so great. And then as soon as he leaves, it's like they didn't learn anything. It's like he's a terrible teacher or something.
He leaves office. It seems like
they forgot everything that he taught them.
Sudden go wuss.
Except Matt Gaetz, who is obviously
education on me, and people are frustrated. We want the gloves off. We want them fighting here. So I'll ask you, your father has 74, 80, 90 million followers.
60.
What do you tell them? What can all of us at home do?
Well, you know what he tells them. He sends them an email, and they can send him money. That's what you tell them. We need your money. That's what you say.
To push back.
We need money, your money right now, all your money. Check this box and keep giving us money and give us all your money, retiree. Give us, the $500 you were going to give $1,000 every week for the next 10 weeks. Give us your money. That's the message.
Against this nonsense.
Listen, I think you said it best. I mean, he taught Republicans how to fight. My book, Liberal Privilege, was about that. Trump being able to show, and now they...
And nobody read it. That's weird. If they'd only read the book and listened to the lessons, they wouldn't be...
Forget, but I think if those 75 million, 80 million people and more, there's going to be a lot more that probably are just quiet. They look at what Joe Biden...
Yeah, they're the silent supporters.
...is doing.
But, I mean, obviously they're Macedonians and they're, Indian people who get paid to watch videos all day.
They see what's going on the border. They see what's happening with their jobs. They watch us ceding control to China, and they have buyer's remorse. If those people step up, they start pushing back, they start being vocal, they stop cowering in a corner, being afraid of being canceled, I promise you we can get through this thing. For me, if they don't try to cancel me 50 times a day, I wonder what's going on. I start to wonder how they're plotting against me. We just can't be
that sounds healthy.
Afraid of the nonsense. If we push back and we fight back intelligently, we can actually win.
What are you fighting and pushing back on? What's the fight here? I know you keep saying fight, and you got to fight, and you got to teach people how to fight, and you're fighting. I don't know what the fuck you're fighting for. Limiting the ability of people to vote? If you're worried about voter ID, pass a bill that makes everybody get a voter ID. Actually has a nationwide national ID card. Get that through the Republican committees. Get that through anywhere in this country through Republicans.
Win this battle, but we have to be engaged. You can't just have Donald Trump doing it by himself and maybe me screaming in the background. We all need to be a part of this movement. Again, if you're a shareholder,
send your check
of these companies, if they're part of your 401k, if you're a fan of baseball, let them know that this kind of stuff and this kind of nonsense is unacceptable.
Cancel them.
They don't need to infuse themselves. They certainly don't need to take fake talking points and run with them as though they are the gospel, because that's exactly what happened. The Biden administration, because there's no one in the media willing to actually fact check them, even if the Washington Post did for the...
So no one in the media is willing to fact check them except the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos, that fact checked them.
First time ever, they can just get away with...
For the first time ever. Really? Really? Is that, or would that be fake news?
They can make stuff up, and it's no problem. It's Joe Biden. He can't remember where he is. Don't worry. We'll give him a pass on this one. Hold them accountable. Don't let them get away with it. You have to stay active. If you're not in this fight, and we're not in this together, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, if we're not in this together, and by that, I mean me and your checkbook.
Well, on this program, we talk a lot about Stinchfield's Army, and that's everybody.
Yeah, we do. Do we? We talk about it. We, meaning me and the two people I have on staff here at Newsmax that I share with the other 5 hosts.
Watching this, clearly.
Yeah, the people who are watching this, they're lining up. Obviously, paid views aside, 34,000 people watching this. Nothing to sneeze at. We got 1.8 million subscribers. So it's more like Stankfield's militia, but you get my point. You know what I mean? You would.
A small part of the Trump army that is out there, and
yeah, that's what it is. It's more like a brigade.
And I say follow your
Zach. Don Jr. seems paranoid for some reason.
Lead your father.
Does Coke make you paranoid?
Lead, and make sure you get engaged. Run for office. Last question for you. Speaking of running I tell people run for local office. Run for your school board. Don Jr. Any chance you run for office soon?
Well, listen. There's a really good chance I'm going to be very involved, no matter what.
Yeah, we're making money off this. This is crazy.
I got the bug for the game. Again, unlike so many Republicans and, conservatives, I actually have the stomach for the fight. So, when they attack me, it doesn't bother me at all. I sort of look...
I don't have any ethics, so they can't attack them.
It as a badge of honor. Not many on our side have that. I guess that's what allowed me to sort of create a little bit of a name for myself within the movement as well. So
No, you don't have a little name for yourself. You have your dad's name. You literally have your dad's name. You literally, Literally.
I'm going to stay involved. I don't know about office. You got to, make sure you want to do that maybe in someday. But today,
that sounds like leadership. You got to make sure you want to do that maybe in someday.
For the coming years, I'm going to be helping candidates who are fighting for the MAGA movement, fighting for the American worker,
making money off of
sure
them.
the Republican Party continues its transition to be the party of working class America. The Democrats, they're the party of the elite, and they're the party of illegal immigrants. They forgot all.
Yeah, the elite illegal immigrants that are coming over using merit, I guess.
About the real Americans in the middle, the working class. They've totally abandoned them. I want to make sure we're fighting for those MAGA Republicans and MAGA conservatives that make up the American working class. And I'm going to fight for them very hard.
Well,
yeah, because you can't fight smart.
I know you will. I know your father will, and I know the rest of your family will. And we appreciate you bringing that fight right here to the program on Newsmax. Donald Trump Jr., thank you. Can't wait.
Woke culture. Jesus Christ. Did they just get, seriously, did they just get, like, marching orders?
See you again.
Thanks, guys. Be well.
Thank you, guys. Be well. And by guys, I mean you. One person. Holy smokes. All right, I'm going to sign off because I got to go finish some pieces. Thank you guys for hanging out. There's too much stuff to do. It's literally, I have dozens upon dozens of videos that we could be doing stuff on. But I've been working on, there's Tucker stuff. There's, this is so good. Pence has launched his own organization. In the next couple of days, I'm going to start kind of putting those together. Rudy has a new one on Hunter Biden. That'll be super exciting. With special guest Miranda Devine. Who's that? Okay, that's going to be a show. That might be tomorrow. I think so. Alex Jones stopped a child trafficking organization by stopping a minivan, apparently. I'm not quite sure why that's a thing. Uh-oh. Okay. I was like, this made me nervous for a second.
Hey, I'm Rob.
Whoops, hold on. This made me nervous for a second because Venmo was trending all of a sudden. And I was like, oh no, what happened at Venmo? It's going away. Because thank you for the Venmos, guys. This just came up in their Daily Beast. In 2 late-night Venmo transactions, in May 2018, Matt Gaetz sent accused sex trafficker Joel Greenberg $900. The next morning, over the course of 8 minutes, Greenberg used Venmo to send 3 young women varying sums of money totaling $900. Oh, man. And by the way, 3 young women, it says right here. But in the article from the Daily Beast, then Venmo'd teen. Maybe she's 18. Is that the idea? In 2 late-night Venmo transactions, Matt Gaetz sent his friend and accused sex trafficker Joel Greenberg $900 next morning over the next... Oh, man. Greenberg used the same app to send 3 young women varying sums of money. Memo field for the Gaetz transactions to Greenberg was titled Test. In the second, the Florida GOP Congressman hit up instead of blank, I wrote the nickname one of the recipients. Oh, shit. But instead of a blank, Gaetz wrote a nickname of one of the recipients, one of the girls. Hit up, what's her name? Oh, Daily Beast not sharing that name for... Oh, boy. Okay, she's 18, but just 6 months before. Then Greenberg then made his Venmo payments to these young women. He described the money as being used for tuition, school. Ouch. Gross. Not that tuition's, anything to laugh about. It's obviously, I'm just saying, maybe there's room for Matt Gaetz to move on forgiving student debt. I'm sorry. Greenberg, the former Seminole County tax collector, has now been... that's why... Wait a minute. This is... I have to start this over. Gets paid accused sex trafficker who then Venmo'd teen. He sends him $900. He sends each of the girls $300. His is hit up what's her name. In the description he says tuition, school. This is why they're not for canceling student debt. If you cancel all the student debt, what leverage does this asshole have to pay teenage girls for sex? If they forgive the student debt, then these girls would be more apt to choose somebody they'd want to have sex with. Yes, he's a pimp. It's exactly what he is. It's exactly what he's talking about. Right, Act? Does that make sense? Seriously. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, people push, are like against initiatives that stop poverty, is because it would take away the prostitutes and the people and the drug dealers that they could act on, they could buy from, who are impoverished and more desperate, and keeps the price low. Whereas if they had to pay for an escort who had chosen the path and was earning what they thought the rate should be for that particular person, which we know, of course, in the case of the Matt Gaetzes of the world, would be an insurmountable amount of money, they wouldn't be willing to pay that. It's like a living wage argument. It's why they're against the $15 minimum wage. It's why they're against erasing student debt. It's how women in Brazil pay for med school. Well, why am I not seeing more Brazilian doctors? I suppose. Maybe it's just down there. They don't come up here. Gaetz and Greenberg are both connected through Venmo to this then 18-year-old woman who now works in the porn industry. That was the girl who was 17 before that. And on Thursday, Greenberg's attorney and prosecutors indicated during a court hearing that they expect Greenberg to strike a plea deal, likely meaning he plans to cooperate with investigators. Gaetz's one public list of Venmo transaction disappeared. Oh, this week. During the reporting of this story, Gaetz's once public list of Venmo transaction disappeared. Look, I gotta say, it's weird to me that people publicize their Venmo payments anyways. It's just, that seems odd. You know what I mean? It's like, who gives a shit? It's like walking around putting if you got a receipt at a store and then you put it on a bulletin board on your way out the door. That's always struck me as odd. But the timing is hilarious. Greenberg's Venmo account is not currently publicly accessible. You think? Was it ever? But the Daily Beast was able to obtain partial records of Greenberg's past online transaction through a source. Oops. You mean the girls they've been talking to. Greenberg and Gaetz are also connected on Venmo to at least one other woman that Greenberg paid with taxpayer funds using government-issued credit card. Oh, shit. Seminole County auditors flagged hundreds of those payments as questioned or unaccounted for. And in a total found more than $300,000. What the shit? In suspicious or unjustified expenses. That's 1,000 girls. I'm kidding. The Daily Beast was able to obtain that credit card data through a public records request. No one has any idea what he was doing. Zero. An accountant who conducted a forensic audit for the county. The arrogance of these guys. They just felt they were above the law. I've never seen it this bad. Well, there you go. O'Keefe was particularly puzzled by weekend expenses, hotels, unspecified high-dollar consulting fees, and cash advances that Greenberg made to himself and others. The Daily Beast compared Greenberg's credit card statements with Venmo transactions to Gaetz expenses and travel records compiled through campaign finance records, Instagram posts, and Venmo, and found that in some key places, the two timelines and circles of contact overlap. Gee, this is almost like something the DA's office could do. Gaetz and Greenberg shared two direct Venmo connections with women who received payments from Greenberg, and both have professional relationships with another. In 2018, Greenberg paid that woman, a mutual friend, with Gaetz several $1,000s using his taxpayer-backed Seminole County-issued Wells Fargo Visa card, according to county records. The Visa auditors flagged the transaction, saying despite having a contract and invoice for the company, they do not know what it was for. Oh yeah? No idea? Last week, New York Times reported that the Justice Department was investigating Gaetz for allegedly paying for a 17-year-old girl to travel with him across state lines. He's like, that's baloney. She never traveled with me. I had sex with her in the state. That's not what he said, but that's what you're allowed to imply because of his legalese. Inducing her to have sex. By the way, he's like, no, they were totally legal. A bunch of these were legal. I am doing a long goodbye. And, he was like, these girls were totally legal. Meanwhile, the dude he's hanging out with is making fake IDs. Plausible deniability, anybody? This reeks. An act that would violate federal child sex trafficking laws. The three-term Republican has acknowledged the existence of the investigation but denies the allegations. He told the Daily Beast in a late-night March 31st text message, yikes, the last time I had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old, I was 17. What was his name? I'm kidding. And in an op-ed in the conservative-leaning Washington Examiner, he says he's never, ever paid women for sex. Well, no, he paid them to hang out. The sex was understood. Gaetz has not been charged with the crime. When asked for comment Thursday, his chief of staff, Gillian Lane Wyant, more details on the times and amounts being discussed so that we can review details. Okay, they requested more details. An outside public relation firm sent the Daily Beast this comment from Gaetz. He hired a new PR. He's hired a crisis team. The rumors, gossip, and self-serving misstatements of others will be addressed in due course by my legal team. Greenberg's defense attorney, Fritz Scheller, also did not immediately respond to requests for comment. I'm sure this Scheller was outside the courthouse and he said this today. I'm sure Matt Gaetz is not feeling very comfortable today. It's getting uncomfortable. Oh my God, this is good. Hi. Well, you're just in time, Axe Grinder, because I've got to take off and continue. Yeah, I had sex with a 17-year-old when I was 17-year-old twice. Right. So yeah, updated with comment from Gaetz. Well, his PR team, anyways. Dude. And you wonder why everybody is just beating feet out of there, right? Where's Caden and Nestor? I know. We never found Caden. Nobody's going to remember that but us. Is Caden still missing? All right. And I don't know why girls would need to be paid to hang out with these charmers. Just, the magnetism. How would you not? 680. We've got 680 patrons. Oh, so beautiful. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Patreon.com/HalSparks. That's how you can support the show. Or you can subscribe on Twitch, twitch.tv/HalSparks. It's a great way to help the show. Of course, always super chats and stars on Facebook. Thank you guys. And by the way, let me, before I even do that, let's see. We've got almost 5,000 stars on today. Yay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. And this weekend, Sexy Liberal, the show is Saturday night, and then there's a meet and greet afterwards. I think the meet and greet might be sold out, but the regular tickets are still available. SexyLiberal.com/tour. Going to be a good time. But yeah, so if you can't stop line, just put in the chat if you need to figure out how to do the Amazon Prime thing. It's just one of the. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps pay for the show a little bit. It's not much, but it's something. Yeah. Oh, VIP ticks are sold out. That's what I thought. Yes, Captain Cheeto. Gaetz is effed. Yes, one day we will all meet and greet. Absolutely. Can't just Venmo send you some cash? Can I just Venmo some cash? Yes, you can. Absolutely. Venmo is always welcome. That's where the Venmo is for. So thank you for even asking. Okay, I'm going to sign off because it's another long. I was supposed to be a short show today, and I'm already 20 minutes over. It's because I missed you guys yesterday, and I can't not. All right, I got to go shoot a sketch. It might have something to do with. All right, that's all I'm telling you. Okay, and I'll see you guys later. Don't forget, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I'm not going to ask you guys to hit the notification bell. My hours are weird. Like, just come when you want to come. Be here. That's I know I'm not doing it right. I know I'm not turning it into the machine that I'm supposed to turn it into. But some of that's just beyond my comfort zone as of yet. Maybe one day. Work it out. All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Bye.